pressure to put on someone else's personality or someone else's style, somebody else's giftings that aren't your own, and that really look and fit them really well, but look a little bit silly on you. Sometimes I feel like I'm trying to do things dressed in my mom's shoes when I was a little girl and couldn't really fit in her shoes, but loved to try them on and playing dress up. And I want to be comfortable in my own skin. I want to be comfortable with the gifts the Lord has given me, and the very things that He has used me to do are going to be different than the things that He uses somebody else to do. And we can see in the story of David and of Saul, how when David went to fight Goliath, Saul tried to dress him in his armor, because David was just a young boy who had been out in the sheep pen. Yes, he'd killed a bear and he'd killed a lion with a slingshot, but Saul thought, you can't go fight this Philistine without any armor on and with only a slingshot. And so Saul tried to dress David in his tunic, in his armor, in his with his sword and his breastplate and all those things. And David tried those on, and they didn't work for him. They didn't fit him. It was too much. And so David had to take those things off and go out into battle with the very things that God had shown him how to use, the very thing that was in his hand in that season of his life. And we all know the story of David and Goliath, that David was actually able to go out and face that giant and kill him with just a slingshot and some smooth stones. And he later learned how to battle differently. He later learned how to use the sword. He later learned how to put on the armor. But in that moment, he had to trust that the Lord was going to use him in the season that he was in, with what he had been trained with and what he knew how to use, because God had said, go and I will be with you. And so I hope that you and I can begin to be comfortable in the season that God has us in. Not that we don't ever hope to learn how to grow in some areas, or how to learn how to use different forms of media to help us get further along in things, or a young cook in the kitchen maybe doesn't use the sharpest knives or whatever, but we want to be comfortable with what we have in the moment when God says go. And when He says go, let's not try to put on someone else's shoes or someone else's armor or use someone else's tools. But let's be confident that when God says go and do something, that we can use the very things that He has put in our hands to do. So go out there and face the giants that God has told you to face, and you can do it.